Forever. Dog.
It's the holidays, and AT&T Fiber has something very special for listeners. Yes, the holiday season is about connection with loved ones. But let's be honest, sometimes you need a different type of connection. AT&T Fiber wants you to make HBO Max your newest holiday tradition, so you can be among the first to catch Wonder Woman 1984 coming to you the same day, December 25th, in theaters and on HBO Max for a limited time. If the family can't agree on what to watch, AT&T Fiber comes to the rescue again, with strong smart Wi-Fi so everyone can stream their own thing throughout the house. But you don't have to choose between the two. Superpower your holiday season and get AT&T Fiber 1 gig internet with HBO Max and unlimited internet data included. No annual contract, limited availability in select areas. Visit att.com/getfiber to check availability. Reliability based on wire connection to the gateway. Whole home coverage may require AT&T Smart Wi-Fi extenders sold separately. Compatible device and online account registration required to access HBO Max. All rights reserved. Restrictions apply.
This may come as a surprise, but my family is ready to get out of the house. So I did a search on the Vrbo app. They've got vacation homes anywhere your family wants to go. We found the perfect beach house that was just a drive away. It has an outdoor kitchen, a pool, and a game room for the kids, so we can really unwind and relax. Check out the Vrbo app for whatever kind of vacation your family needs. That's Vrbo, VRBO.com. Your together awaits.
I know so off record, we made, James and I low-key made fun of Braylock, because Braylock, went to NYU, but had only studied fences.
Yeah, only. Wait, for real, are we gonna put NYU on blast right now for only the entire?
They should. I'm not about to just go at them. Like my school, we didn't study a lot of black playwrights either. The only reason it might be racist. Now that I'm saying that out loud. I think the only reason I knew about black playwrights is I had a teacher who was from London. I think I told you guys about this. She didn't like the way I spoke. So during our after class diction lessons, she would give me different plays to read, and they would be black only plays. Now I'm thinking about it. So I knew a little bit, but it wasn't like we studied them in class either. So I think I knew as much as Bray did.
Yeah. And if I'm being honest, we probably didn't either. Right. I have just been such a big fan of specifically August Wilson, and knowing that you sort of always need to seek out whatever black plays you can, because they're not going to be a part of the curriculum most of the time.
Did you ever do a scene from this play, James?
No, I never did a scene from Ma Rainey. And I was trying to remember if I had seen Ma Rainey, because I knew that when they finally go to the recording studio, I leaned to Kat and I was like, now they're in the set. This is what the set would look like. And then she was like, oh, have you seen it? And I was like, no, I don't think so. I don't know why I knew that was the set, but then maybe I have and I just can't remember. But I've definitely read it.
How many plays have you seen of August Wilson?
I would say half. I know I haven't seen of the later ones. I had only seen Radio Golf, which is the last one, but I hadn't seen Gem of the Ocean, and I hadn't seen.
It's just so depressing when I think about. I definitely could have seeked it out more. I actually did take in African American theater class, but we didn't talk about August Wilson much. There was all these other plays that I read. There was a play where all the black people stopped working in America for a day.
Day of Absence? No.
Yeah, or something like that.
Day of Absence isn't stop working. They just aren't there. They aren't around. There are no black people. Where are the black people, right?
I think the only playwright I knew is Gerges black. He's half
Stephen
black,
Adly Gerges,
right? Yeah, that's who I knew. That he wrote Motherfucker with the Hat and Jesus Hopped the A Train. I think he's Egyptian.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Egyptian father. Yeah. Wow. I didn't know that. I've met Gerges. He's very nice.
Oh, really? Anna DeVita. So she's half black as well. Wait, time out. All these playwrights half black? All right, this is the thing that's very sad about this. All right, this is the thing. We're out here
walking into tricky territory. Yeah. I already feel it.
No. It's
no. I mean, are we saying? Are you trying to figure out the names of black playwrights? I mean,
yeah. I'm trying to figure out who's black.
Susan Laurie Parks. I mean, there's a bunch of black playwrights.
I think I'm sad because I don't know that many, and I went and studied theater for like 4 years. When I even think about my theater classes, like Black playwrights did not come up.
Lynn Nottage.
Yeah.
That's
you have to
crazy.
like seek them out. Like I had to take a class. You know what I mean? Like you had to look for a scene from a Black play. Like it wouldn't be assigned to you. You know?
Yeah.
Like even the Fences scene that I did, Nick Walker, who's been on the podcast, like we did a scene from Fences, but it wasn't assigned to us. We like, you know, they were like, oh, you could partner up with somebody and do a scene. You know, they had to approve it, but we went and to do it, you know, like, but that's also because NYU is like 5% Black.
I mean, but to me, that's the even more important part. Like to me, it's even if your population is very few, I feel like it's even more important to teach like Black playwrights because they're like these white kids. It's like, you should learn about art. And it's one of those things where, you know, if you go to a PWI, predominantly white institution, it feels like that should be a part of the curriculum. I feel like I've learned so much about white playwrights. I know so much. I guess my thing is, when does the culture actually get to mix if we don't include a lot of the cultures, at least here in America?
I mean, I would hope that, especially just thinking about the state of theater in New York, how I would feel like theater in New York, at least the off-Broadway companies would like always do like 1 or 2 Black plays a year and you know and Asian and you know and just sort of all different cultures because of New York. I would hope that like theater curriculums now are more diverse than they were when we were in school. I would hope.
Do you actually think that's true? Because like
not
even just the acting conservatories, it should be like the high schools, right? Like when you read plays in high school, you read.
Yeah. I mean, I read Fences in high school. Fences.
That's good.
It was a part of my school. Now, my school was a performing arts school, you know, and I think I read it in like an acting class or something.
Okay.
But
well, at least that.
Yeah.
But still, like even in public schools, you read Shakespeare, you read Arthur Miller.
Yeah, everyone has to read like
you have to read like certain plays. Like you should
Desire Under the Elms, and
they should teach people August Wilson, you know, like
absolutely,
at the very least, you know.
The only play we actually studied, and they were going to do a play of it, but there was only one Black kid in the theater program, which was this Negro here. So they didn't do it. Was A Raisin in the Sun. They were like, we should do A Raisin in the Sun.
That's right. We did read A Raisin in the Sun.
Like that was the one, and they were like, we can open it up to kids.
That is the one. That is the one. That's the one that everyone knows.
Yeah, because it was like huge.
That's the token play.
The token Black play.
Yeah,
that is the token Black play.
I mean, I think if it wasn't for Denzel right now, I feel like Denzel has made it like his life's mission to produce August Wilson's plays. And I think that has helped to like push him a little bit to the forefront. I think he's doing all of them on Netflix. Is that
happening? The thing that I was thinking the whole time I was watching this was he had a deal with like HBO to produce all of them.
Oh, it was HBO. Sorry.
I was like, is this a part of that? Like what? But it's on Netflix, you know.
Yeah, I'm not sure now.
But it's probably still happening, and I don't know what the details are. I refuse to actually look it up. But
don't worry, James. You'll get that audition for one of them. You know what I'm saying?
No, I won't. Are you kidding? No, I won't. I was just thinking about this. I've been waiting to be in my 30s because there are like no young Black men in August Wilson's plays. All of his characters they're like born in their 30s.
Hilarious.
They're like all
that's true.
And I'm now finally old, you know, except for like Corey and Fences. I'm now finally old enough
now
to play.
That there's no theater left, you're finally old enough. Now that theater has been scourged from the earth by COVID, you're finally old enough. Now that Broadway has literally been shut down this entire year. And, and theaters are
It's true. My life's dream.
Oh my God,
bro! Honestly,
my God,
2020 could kiss my Rainey's black bottom, man. I hate 2020, dude. I'm just saying, dude. 2020 could just pucker up and kiss my Rainey's black bottom.
Stop casually working it into this conversation. Like that's what you would say. It's not what you would say. You know it's not what you would
Whatever,
say.
James. If you don't like it, you can kiss my Rainey black bottom.
Okay.
That was good. That was good. That was good. That was good.
Let's start the show.
Jonathan Braylock, James III, Jerah Milligan.
What more can I say? You know what it is.
Black men can't jump.
Black actors, man. Black actors. All right.
Welcome to Black Men Can't Jump in Hollywood.
Hollywood City.
You've seen the rest. Now I'm gonna show you the best. My Rainey's gonna show you her black bottom.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were gonna do the actual stutter.
Nope,
But you
was not gonna do the stutter.
I thought you were gonna do a one,
not me.
a two.
Not today. You know what
I know
to
that was
do.
the other one. That was the other
one?
one.
The
But
two?
Bray can
you
do
know
that
what to
later
do.
when it's time to do the cause, obviously.
Oh yes.
Obviously gonna say a 1 or 2.
Damn.
Yes. Okay, I like that.
Wow, that's pretty great.
This is a great episode, but also a very sad one, man.
It
You know what I mean?
is.
Yeah.
This was man. I get it.
Well, we're gonna get into it, man. We're gonna get into it. For those of you who don't know, the man who delivered that hilarious cold open
Oh my God.
segue is speaking to you right now. My name is Jonathan Braylock. I almost committed to the third person thing, but I couldn't do it. It just sounds so weird.
I'm really looking at him, and I'm like, I don't want to go after this. But anyway, this is Jerah Milligan.
And this is James III.
Wow, yeah, Braylock,
Y'all don't know about Braylock.
I'm going to talk in August Wilson voice for the rest of this podcast.
Ooh, what is that?
I feel like there's a voice that you have to adopt if you're going to do it. It's like, you kind of you're kind of speaking with, there's like a little bit of something to how you speak. You know what I'm talking
is
about?
That right?
Yeah, you had like a little bit of something going on with the way that you
James, I don't
when
know.
you're August Wilson.
I don't know. My man said a 1, a 2. You don't know what to do. Like, he sounded smooth as hell. What movie? What play? What was you watching, brother?
You gotta have a little bit of
my man said a 1 or 2, and you know what to do.
Like that
Colman
shit sounded.
Domingo, another black playwright.
Who?
The guy who's played that part.
He's a playwright?
Yes. Well, he has written plays.
Oh,
he's also an actor. I mean, we've seen him in a million things.
I mean, it's so funny because I just started noticing him. I think when we all went to that screening of Bill Street, and he was there and he played the dad, and I was like, I think I saw him on. Was he on The Walking Dead? I think he was on The Walking Dead too.
Or Fear the Walking Dead.
The
I'm
Walking
not sure,
Dead.
but he was on one of the.
I never watched
on
Fear
that.
the Walking Dead.
Bray.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Just in case I get an audition for it, I'm not gonna say nothing, but you can
I'm
see me
talking
be
about
the Zoom.
August Wilson, but this is my every time I went into an audition for an August Wilson.
James, you
show.
do not do that every.
This was the voice that I had.
Are you a pimp?
Yeah.
Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Listen, we are a film review podcast. We review films.
Wow, we just now getting to this?
Leading black actors. We talk about them in the context of race and diversity in Hollywood. And today we are reviewing the 2020 Netflix film Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, an adaptation of a play by August Wilson. This stars Viola Davis.
Ooh.
Chadwick Boseman, the late and great Chadwick Boseman.
Wow.
Glynn Turman, who's been in so many. I mean,
everything.
Yeah, everything, dude.
He really is in everything. And then, so the guy who plays Coulter is Colman Domingo. That's who you were talking about. And then Michael Potts, who also looked familiar.
And other stuff too.
Oh, okay. I was like, what did I recognize Taylor Page from? She was in White Boy Rick. And I did see that movie.
Yes. Oh, she's also, man, it sucks so many movies didn't come out this year. I don't know if you guys remember, but like a few years ago, there was this big Twitter thread. They called it the Zola Chronicles. It was like this black stripper who told the story about how she linked up with this white stripper, and it was like her dumb boyfriend, and it was like a huge thread. And then it got adapted into a movie, and I think it premiered at Sundance this year or one of the festivals. It didn't come out yet, but she plays the lead in it, so she's gonna have that's like gonna be such a fun movie when it comes out. But she's the lead in that.
Oh, this has a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, 81% audience score, which makes sense. It's a play. People always get weirded by play. Like some people just can't handle movies as plays as movies. Some people just don't like that.
Yeah,
which is not director, me. I always like. I almost always like them.
I just wanted to say the director and writer of this, also black playwrights, Joyce Wolfe and Ruben Santiago Hudson.
Amazing. And it obviously doesn't have a box office because it was part of Netflix. I don't know how well it's doing on Netflix.
It was number one.
It was number one. Okay.
When I looked at it last night, it was number one. Let's see if it's number one still. I mean,
everyone's number
about
one's the same? By the way, do we know that
the U.S. number one? I think is. I mean, come on, man. You know the rules of the algorithm. Don't ask questions, Bray.
Rules of the algorithm.
It says the
they
US
don't do
number
anything.
one.
Initial thoughts? I can start.
Yeah,
I don't.
Go ahead,
I don't want to talk
Bray
about it.
This was. I mean, for someone who I've never seen the play or read the play, you know, I will say I am biased. I love play movies. Like, I love movies that just allow actors to like actually act, and like the movie is like carried by the actors, especially when the actors are very good. And this movie has very good actors acting incredibly. Mm-hmm. I was riveted the whole time. There's a tension that like Chadwick's characters brings like from the get go that you're like, oh man, you know. But like it's a really good like pull in, pull out, like this flow that's happening that like lets it come and go. I mean, Viola Davis is incredible as Ma Rainey. The points, you know, that I assume are also in the play are still true today, and it's crazy because this film was based in 1920s?
1927. Yep.
You know, I'm sure written in like the 60s, maybe
82.
Oh, okay, 82. But still, like, it was like, I thought this movie was incredible. I don't know. I don't have too much to say. I'm like excited to talk about the different parts of it. I thought the directing was really good because, again, it's hard to make movies that don't have many places to go engaging. And I thought he did a really good job. Like, I felt like everything felt natural. The choreography felt pretty natural. Like, I really liked how he like established Viola Davis, you know, which I think the play, you know, and I don't think it was like in the play, her going in the car with her cousin. Maybe it was. I don't know. I don't know if you know, James.
I believe that all of the play takes place inside of the
in the recording studio.
In the recording studio. So like, and there might be like separate spots, right? Like where the producers are and then where they're, you know.
Right. But like coming out of the hotel, going in the car, all those people looking at her, that felt like
all of that stuff I think was added. Is added stuff, yeah.
Yeah, which I liked. It really it did a great job. And like even the end, which I'm pretty sure was added too, of like
yeah. That's not in it. Yeah.
Yeah, the white people saying that. I was like, it was just like such a perfect way to end. It was like, absolutely, of course. Like you knew it when that guy took away the papers. You were like, that dude is stealing that music. Like he's not giving it to him back. Like that dude is screwed. It was good. I really liked it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll also just say quickly, I thought it was great. I couldn't believe that it was 90 minutes. Kat and I kept saying, this is going to be 90 minutes. Like we just couldn't believe it. Like a typical outing to an August Wilson anything, you're like, okay, this is going to be 4 hours of my day and I'm going to sit here and see a bunch of beautiful speeches and, you know, but like I thought they did a really great job of keeping the story intact and telling it in a cinematic and visual way, you know, whereas like I don't think this had as much of what we talked about with Fences of like and now we're just going to sit in this scene and be in this scene and it's going to feel like we're at a play. that didn't happen as much. It did happen, obviously, because of the nature of the material, but I thought they did a great job of figuring out how to break it up and how to come up with excuses for changes of scenery and stuff like that. The acting was just superb, and I thought that it was very well directed. Loved the speeches, especially Levy's really big speech. About the white man speech and his history. There was so good.
He had 2 great speeches.
And the scene of them just showing Levy clearly trying to upstage Ma Rainey, I thought was a nice touch as well. I don't know if that's something that just comes out in dialogue, but I don't think that's on the page in the play. At least that's not how the play starts, right, or anything. So I thought that stuff was really cool and interesting. I loved it. I thought it was really good.
It's so funny because I think I am one of the people that it's hard for me to watch a play that is filmed because I get distracted by the dialogue and the lack of location changes. So it does take me out a little bit, but then, once you adjust to be like, yo, this is just what this is, it helps a little bit more, but it was tough at first. Because that was my only fault with Fences. It was like, I get that it was a play, but I was so tired of that goddamn house after a while. And the backyard, I was like, God, I get it. But I'm like, but also it makes it cost effective. Chadwick, man, I had never knew anything about this. It's funny because it's called Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, but this play is kind of like Levy is equally as important, or maybe he's definitely in more scenes than Ma Rainey, which I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know anything about it. So it's like he has the story arc, if you will, very tragic as it may, but I really enjoyed it. I mean, I think we always talk about the Oscars and when someone gets nominated, what part they're going to show for this is, blah, blah, blah scene. And then he had so many parts in this movie. I mean, he had 2 good monologues. Of course, the one about why he doesn't fear the white man and what the white man has done to him. Then there was something later, and I'm blanking on exactly what it was now. Yes, the God one. Oh my gosh. The God one was so powerful.
That was probably
my goodness. And then, because to me this play again, I never knew about it, but this play touched on so much stuff that I've heard the elder Southerners of my family talk about. Again, I brought it up, we have deacons, we have, pastors, but we also have the ones who are but why didn't they stop this from happening? So I've heard this back and forth before. So to see it on screen, I was like, oh, damn, great. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. This was so hard because I've never been a person to feel any type of sorrow for when a celebrity passes. But some reason watching Chadwick, it was every part of it was tough. It was the fact that he will for sure and deservingly get an Oscar nomination. He probably will win. And what makes me really sad is that this man won't be here to accept his own award. And he was a black, I'm sorry, man. This dude was a black American dude, went to a HBCU. Everything about him felt like one of us. You know what I mean? When I think about Denzel was a black dude from Mount Vernon who did it. You know what I'm saying? Sam Jackson, black dude, went to a HBCU, went to Morehouse, did it, had a stutter, overcame it. You know what I mean? Wasn't considered an other outside of his race. You know what I mean? And they did it. And Chadwick was the new version of that. And then we lost him and he did so much. And then to watch this movie, it was just to hear his speech about Levy, it felt so black and so American and so embittered and so much that our ancestors dealt with that bullshit. Even, the black man today got out of prison after 19 years because they accused him of raping a white woman when he was trying to help her. And you know what I'm saying? It's this shit is insane. Guys, I liked it a lot. I mean, the performances were great. It was great.
Yeah.
It's just so sad, man.
It's wild to think. I know. I like literally as I turned the movie on, I was like, I can't believe he's gone. It's like, what a year, man. This year was crazy.
I mean, this movie starts and it's like, I don't know if you guys saw, but Netflix has like a 30-minute.
We haven't seen it yet. We're gonna watch it,
kind of thing. Cool. And they talk about it, and they talk about the importance of. I think James, you're right. They redid that opening to make it a little bit more grand, a little bit more big, with Chadwick on the horn and stuff like that, and him outshining Ma Rainey. And to see that is so important because it is that clash. I think happens sometimes. Like, this black woman is trying to have agency. So basically, the movie opens. It opens with like Ma Rainey doing a performance, like in like one of those backyard type situations down in Georgia. And as she's performing, Chadwick's Levy tries to steal the shine. But apparently, this was a thing that used to happen a lot, where like the way to push yourself forward was to kind of try to like one up somebody else. Like I think like if you guys saw the James Brown movie, how James Brown got on is like he like ran on stage when some other artist was on break, and like kind of forced his way into it. And it's like Chadwick was trying to do that again to this black woman, while this black woman the whole time was trying to have a sense of urgency. But he's like, I need it too. But instead of working together, they both like fight each other the whole time. And it's like, damn, he could have helped her out. She could have helped him out. It would have been great.
Or even she might not even be fighting for agency, but like it might even be like, is this the like end of Ma Rainey's like, like is this the end of her time as on top?
Her reign.
Yeah,
it is. It was. They said she was. There was another famous singer at the time that was kind of taking over, but they.
Oh yeah,
Bessie
who
Smith,
they bring up in the show, and she's like Bessie.
Right.
She like, yeah.
But they said if she didn't again Monday quarterbacking is like if she would have actually listened to some of the things Levy said. Like Levy was a part of that quote unquote like new idea, which Bessie was a part of. So like Ma Rainey could have had the opportunity to ride that wave as well, but she was stuck like in the past fighting whatever, and then he was too aggressive and wasn't listening to her either and being disrespectful. So it's kind of
yeah.
How do you choose which internet service provider you use? The sad thing is most of us have very little choice, because ISPs operates like monopolies in the regions they serve. All right, they use this monopoly to power to take advantage of the customers, the data caps, streaming throttles, and the list goes on and on. Worst of all, many ISPs log into your internet activity and sell that data to other big tech companies and advertisers. So, to prevent the ISPs from seeing my activity, the man ain't getting my stuff, okay? I protect all my devices with ExpressVPN.
Cool. Yeah, you don't have to yell at us. So what is ExpressVPN? It's a simple app for your computer or smartphone that encrypts all your network data and tunnels it through a secure VPN server so that your ISP cannot see any of your activity.
Yeah, just think about how much of your life is on the internet. Sadly, every site you visit, video you watch, or message you send gets tracked by ISPs or other tech giants who can then sell your information for profit.
Wait, tell me, you mean all of it? Even if I
everything, brother.
You're not going one of them other.
Especially that.
Oh no!
Look, all you have to do is you just download the app, right, for ExpressVPN. You tap one button on your device, boom, you're protected. And ExpressVPN does all of this without slowing your connection. That's why it's rated the #1 VPN service by CNET and Wired.
Okay, so stop handing over your personal data to ISPs and other tech giants who mine your activity and sell off your information. Protect yourself with the VPN I trust to keep me private online. Visit expressvpn.com/Hollywood. That's EXPRESSVPN.com/Hollywood to get 3 extra months free. Go to expressvpn.com. Yes, 3 extra months free. expressvpn.com/Hollywood right now to learn more.
Protect your sites.
Is there something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals, like the new year, 2021?
Yeah, I mean, we got pandemics, we got terrorists. Like it's a lot happening. Unemployment, stress, and anxious all the time.
Pandemic is still here, and I just can't deal with it.
It's stressful, really, man.
Crushing me. It is crushing me, the fact that it's still here and going strong in California. The pandemic has never been better in California.
I have a piece of good news. BetterHelp is here. They're here to assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist, which we all need right now.
Yes.
You can start communicating in under 48 hours. It's great.
Yes. And it's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's a professional counseling done securely online. I mean, there's a broad range of expertise available, which may not be locally available in many areas.
Yes, you can get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions so you won't ever have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room as with traditional therapy. Because as we said, the pandemic is going strong, so
stay in your house.
Do it from your home. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available.
BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. You can visit their websites and read the testimonials that are posted daily there. If you go to betterhelp.com/jump, that's better HELP, and join over the 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional, you will get 10% off your first month.
Woo!
That's betterhelp.com/jump. Get some BetterHelp today.
I loved when she was just talking about how nobody cares about her. They're just using her, and this is the thing in Fences. I mean, it was here too, where you saw the dynamic between black men and black women, and it's like you see the oppression that happens, like white men oppressing black men and also oppressing black women. But then black men turning the oppression that's happening to them and then going and oppressing black women. The Levy wasn't appreciative of the fact that he was here. He wasn't like, oh, Ma helped me get to this place. You know what I mean? He was like, oh, she doesn't, my music is best and she doesn't understand. She doesn't know. And I'm going to show her and this and that, So it was very confrontational from the jump. And then there's a whole love triangle kind of going, that if August Wilson would be in our time, I think he would, or I would hope he would fill out his female characters more, because I do think he gives his male characters more things to work with. That said, Ma Rainey has the Viola makes the most of every scene that she has, and you totally understand where this woman is coming from, and where it's easy to go oh, she's so abrasive and is unaccommodating and is demanding and this and that, and then when you have her, when she gives her speech about how they're just using her, and once they get her voice on the recording, they'll have no more use for her anymore. I think she said a man putting on his pants with the whore on the bed or something like that. And I was just damn, yeah. But it was that's so real. It's we are. So she's I'm gonna milk them needing me for everything I got right now, because I know it's gonna come to an end.
The thing about this movie is tough is that, I'll be honest, I think the hardest part about this movie to me is that a lot of the darkness in Levy, I think, is fear that I have, that I'm capable of, that resentment buildup. There is such a justification, I think, for black men, especially him in his case, of why he acts a certain kind of way. And I do think the belief that he has is one that is given to black people all the time. It's if you're talented, you work really hard, you will get the thing. And that is not always the case. It's just not. Like you still can have your story stolen from you. You still will have to deal with a white person who's either going to help or not help. You know what I mean? And I think when you watch him and how he moves, especially from the very beginning, when like we see him, he buys his new pair of shoes. You know, he's confident, he's happy. You know, like he has this record producer who's like, I can help you get a band. I love the music. Keep sending me more music. By this point, I think he's given this guy 3 or 4 songs already. As enthusiastic and as driven as he is, and yes, he is cocky, but a lot of people keep trying to put him in his place. And the thing is, for me, is I don't think people try to put white men in their place as much as they do black people, black men in particular. I think, like, again, like if I go to schools, I will hear people tell these kids to like, you know, just take it easy, focus on whatever. But then I've also been at white schools for like stuff MTV's done. And they're like, sky's the limit, little white boy who's out here. Like there was literally this little white boy who was out here like, I'm going to do this. And people are like, yeah, you can. And I'm like, bruh, like we sometimes dampen ourselves, which I know people say that crap in the basket thing. So like seeing Levy was so tragic because I think that happens to a lot of black men. You know what I mean? I think if you take it out, like Braylock said, you would take it out on black women. I think you would take it out on yourself. I think we would take it out on each other. And I also think sometimes because the outside world is doing so much to us, it's so hard to combat and figure out where the safe place is. You know what I mean? Like you're always on edge. Like you're always like, I got to do this. I got to be ready. I got to, you know.
Almost because Levy is born in the 1910s, it's like, or I guess, yeah, probably around there, or maybe a little bit earlier in the aughts. But like because he's born then, it's like he will not be able to ascend to the heights that he sees for himself because black people are saying to him, be in your place because A, Ma Rainey, but then B, white people will never let you get anywhere. And then C, the white people who he thinks are helping him to get somewhere are not. So like,
because also this was the time of 2 things, like the Great Migration, which they touched on, I think, a little bit in this.
Yeah, they showed it in the beginning.
My grandmother was a part of that. She moved from South Carolina to DC. I think the reason they put in this was a little different, but I mean, for the most part, yeah, it was like factory jobs and non like field work. But also this was the time of like race music, you know, as they called it. So it was like, even Ma Rainey was getting screwed. It's like all these white people in the North, which let's be real, I think people always think about like the North was a safe haven. Like Chicago in particular, like was super racist. Like again, like if you look back to like Martin Luther King, a lot of people said the change that happened in him is when he moved north. And there's so many stories about like how they would be prepared for racism in the South because they knew the South was a racist place, but they would get to the North and they wouldn't have the numbers of protection that they used to have. They didn't think they needed it. I mean, and, you know, of course, like, you know, rumor says, you know, Martin Luther King became a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more defensive, blah, blah, blah. But like what happens to Ma, even in this instance, is as big as she is, she's given like $200, I think, for her record, for her music.
Yeah.
Like, I think at the end of the day, she gets $200, which isn't a lot. These white dudes are making so much money off of it. They still do how this movie ends now, whereas like white people will remake a black song. I never forget the day I heard the white version of the thong song.
Wait, what?
It is, yes, Bray, yes. I was young and thong song was a hit. And I remember being like in a mall or something like that. And it was it was like a white cover playing in Macy's. Yes, it's like a,
but like, was it a white version of song, or was it like
no pumps in the truck? And like, yo, it was. Oh, I've never forgotten that moment. It was just
no way that
Superman easy. Let me see that. It was. I never forget it, dog. But I don't know.
Not quite the same as them, like just like paying somebody $50 and then or $5 and then taking their song and making probably hundreds of thousands of dollars, about millions of dollars off of it. It's so crazy to think about. And yeah, I get what you mean. Like he, you know, you get where Levy's coming from because he has these ambitions, and it's one thing for people to go like, hey, here are some obstacles you're gonna have to overcome. Here's how to overcome them. You know, it's another thing for them to be like, oh, you're living a pipe dream. You need to set your your goals lower, like it's not supportive. You can warn someone about the dangers of the world while still supporting them and encouraging them to chase their dreams, but I mean, the thing that I loved, like, once the movie like really got underway, like in the recording studio, was very quickly you get like everyone's character, like, like is it Cutler?
Cutler,
very much
Cutler.
like old school, like, when they're like, "Where's Ma Rainey?" He's like, "I don't know about that, sir. I just know she told me to be here at 1:00, and we're here, and I'm sure she'll be here." You know what I mean? Like, like he's supposed to be here at 1:00 too. Like he's just like, oh, "This is how things are. I'm gonna like, kind of very political, like, but like black political, like, like knowing when to speak and that kind of thing." And then you have like, wait, who was the guy who's the philosopher?
Toledo. Yeah, Toledo.
Right, like Ohio.
Yes, like Ohio.
Yeah, Toledo.
I got cousins who live in Toledo. But yeah, he was like, I loved his speech too. Like his
his was great.
Like, and the beginning where he is like going at it with Levy and like talking about like the air and the molecules are always changing, and he's like, like he was so funny. And I mean, yeah, they all like had their own thing, and then to see them and the chemistry between them was great. And like Levy's obviously the younger of the four men, and he's like pushing it, and they like see themselves in him, like see some of themselves in him, and they're also looking at him like, oh, this younger generation, like kind of looking at him like a whole other generation of black men that they don't agree with for this reason or that reason. But then I think they also have like hope, because like as much like friction that was happening between him and Cutler, when Ma was like, "We gotta fire him," he's like, he is a good trumpet player. Like, he's got, and he writes good music. Like, and you're like when he said that, I was like, whoa, wait, he likes him?
Yeah, I know.
It's like, you're like, what? Where was this?
Well, because they're only getting on him because
he's so damn cocky.
It's not even so much that he's so cocky, and he's like it's Ma Rainey's band, and he's like, yeah, but my way. It's like, bro, this is literally version. Not what you're hired to do. You're hired to, I mean, and if one day Ma gets open to your music, great, because you can write good music, but like, don't force it on us. Ma isn't gonna like that.
I mean, it's something funny about. I laughed, and this is going back, I guess, to the beginning. But when Chadwick comes in with the mustard shoes, and he's super hype, and there is something, again, to a person who's never had anything, to get something as silly as a pair of shoes and have it feel like the greatest thing in the world. And I know, again, as a person who buys a bunch of shoes, there is that feeling where it's like, you are seen now. Like, you now have a conversation piece. You now have a little piece of confidence to go along with you. And those shoes become so important as the movie, as the movie progresses, because that is the last thing he has. You know what I mean? Like, before he had his music, he had that fire, that drive. And it's slowly but surely we watch it just get ripped from under him. And all he has is the shoes that he spent a whole week's pay plus $4 for, that he got from Cutler. You know what I mean? My God.
This felt very August Wilson, this character. I mean, all of the characters, but like specifically, getting a new thing that you're really excited about, that you feel like defines you. That feels very August Wilson. Yep. But then also his catchphrase of like, I'm gonna get my band together. Like
have a plan.
Every time having that sort of like this plan that is bigger than he is, right? Like, that he never let go you know, and we're of course only seeing him for a couple hours, literally a day of his life. But like, we know by looking at him that he's like always going to be like, when I get my band. He's never going to not be saying, when I get my band together, you know, the band's never going to come together. He's never actually going to reach that. The plan is too big for him, and he is moving too fast for it. Like he's already there. He thinks he has it, and it's like, bro, you need to be a little bit more measured. That idea is too big for you. Take a step back and look at how to attain it instead of feeling like you're there and you have it right now.
See, it's so funny because I think his idea is he does have, I think like he did the thing you thought you would do. You get you find the producer, you find the record studio, you find the person who likes the music, who is going to pay you to bring the band, because that's what he's known. Like Rainey gets to come up there, they pay for the band, they get to record the music, he has the songs. And he's like, I am doing everything the right way. And I think sometimes
absolutely, but he has blinders. He's having sex with Ma's girl. His break is he's working in a band with a big performer who, of course, is on her way out. This is literally, I'm upon more research, I think this is actually just a dramatization of her recording her last album.
Yes.
You know, but he's already like, I'm so big, she's on her way out, I'm next, instead of being like, I can play well right now for this, and then my next thing can be really, you know what I mean? Like
I get that. Yeah, for sure.
He is too big, and it's a shame because it shouldn't be that way. I think is also a part of a message of the play, is that like, it shouldn't be that this young black man with these big dreams cannot achieve those dreams, you know, and never will because he's black or whatever. It's that like, you know, his actual flaw is that he is on a train that is moving to, you know, he can't slow it down, you know. This is kind of what it feels like to me.
I mean, we gotta talk about this first speech by Chad. So Toledo and Slow Jack kind of come at him for how he talks to like the white dude. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, yes, the boss. And then he tells you why he don't fear no white man, you know? And the thing about this story that is so sad is yes, it's fictionalized for this play, but this is not a story that is ununique to blackness in America. You know what I mean? Like the danger that white men have had to black women, and there is no repercussions for it to an extent. It doesn't matter if children are there. I mean, again, like it doesn't even matter if it is a child. Like we have heard stories about white men showing up to homes and dragging kids out of the house. And there's nothing that can be done because some of those white men are police. You know what I mean? It's just under their robe, they have their police uniform on, which is a thing. So to hear him tell the story in such detail, I mean, holding on Chadwick's face. Also, Bray, I think you're right. I think Bray said earlier just about how the director made sure that there was movement, there was action. It didn't feel like just talking. Like how he handled this monologue, it wasn't just a long hold on Chadwick. Like Chadwick did get a chance to move around that room. The camera did go around his face. We did like lock in as he's, I mean, honestly, I didn't know this play. I did not want him to finish the story. Like I didn't want to hear details of the story. And then later on, when he talks about like what his mom was saying, and then being and can't do anything, and then literally, man, we read. I don't know, man. We read about these things, dog.
His dad said, "You're the man of the house," before leaving, and his mom getting attacked by a gang of white men. And so he feels so responsible for this at 8. It's so wild.
Yeah.
Also, this attack happens because this black man, again, this is the thing. His dad, again, does the right thing. His dad saves up money. His dad raises money. His dad buys a plot of land from a person who, like, the husband died. so the wife can't take care of it. He buys the land. He nurses the land so that it's able to grow. And the white people in the area who cannot do that are now jealous of him. What is so crazy about this story, if you guys, people at home, I guess, suggesting another podcast, but if people listen to the famed New York Times 1619 podcast, there is a story about a black man, I think from like last year, who, of course, his wife wasn't assaulted or anything, but like he has had land for generations, farmland. He's always grown land. His dad has, he has. And as his land became more profitable, the white people in the area stopped letting him get whatever the farming loan is that everyone gets every year. They started plotting against his land. And then he ended up losing this plot of land. And it's not because he did anything to damage anybody around him. He just was good at his job. That
He's
is
upstaging them.
But
he was just being better than them.
But not he was just good. It wasn't even like a person being cocky, like we on the court, you ain't shit. It's like, no. I have this land, I need to make money, and I am good at growing.
Yeah, but you can't have this thriving ass farm.
They were told their whole lives that white people are better than black people, that they're smarter and better. And so here was a black person defying the natural order of things. So they had to put him in his place, you know.
The thing that bothers me about this play, and it's not any fault of the play, and even when you guys watch the 30 minutes afterwards, like Viola Davis talks about it, I am very torn with how black people can make something out of nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they talk about, like, I think at one point, Rainey talks about like hog moss and like how, you know, black people were given scraps and made these scraps into like delicacies. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, my family eats chitlins and shit like that. And it's like, it is a delicacy now. We were given nothing. We made it great. And I get very bothered that we even have to do that. Like, even right now, even Bray being like, yo, he upstaged him. It's like people think of it as upstage. Like, not saying Bray does, but like people think that we are upstaging him by just being good at a thing.
And to even think about like Toledo's monologue up top of like what are we going to do as black people to do more than just have fun? But what the way that I also thinking about that now a little bit more, it's like we're only allowed to, all we're allowed to do is like, there's this narrow, especially at this time, not so much now. I mean, you know, there are more black people in different positions, but like in this time, it's like, you better be playing a horn, like you better just be dancing.
Tap dancing.
And, like that, that's all you can do is have a good time. You know, like it's like that's all we were allowed to do.
It's so, because you know what it is? It makes me think about, I think I brought this up before. I've been thinking about kids a lot, and it's making me think about like, what do I teach my kids about the world? I honestly don't know. Like, I don't know when race should be introduced to them. I don't know when the mechanics of how society would treat them based on how they look comes into play. I don't know if that takes away from their innocence at all. But when I think about this, it's like, at the end of the day, our kids, or I say my kids, I want to put y'all in this. Like, my kid could be up for the science fair that will get them the scholarship to go to the school. My kid could be up against Brad, who has a very rich dad in the neighborhood. My
Brad
kid
White.
could not be, of course, Brad's white. How many black Brads?
Right.
You know,
I mean, I'm saying they're black Brads. I just wanted to make sure.
I'm going to say Brad. Okay, Brad, James, white Brad. Okay,
thank you.
Damn. But like, he could be up against a Brad, and like, at the end of the day, it's like, my kid just being smart can be seen as upstaging this white kid, which will have repercussions for him that, if not prepared for it, he will not know how to address or how to handle. And the thing is, he has done nothing wrong. So at the end of the day, we have to make sure like these kids know they have done nothing wrong, but because they are exceptional in a way, that can be seen as a threat to others. You know what I mean? And that sucks, because this play was quote unquote 1927 when this took place. We are still dealing with some of these same issues in 2020. Like, most of the times we make movies, most of the time we team up with production companies, majority of them are white production companies. Most of the time we are sharing our creativeness with them, our partnership with them, our ownership with them. And at the end of the day, because we are partnering with these places to gain an upper hand or upper leg, we can have the rug put out from under us if not handled appropriately. You know what I mean? It's
the thing Chappelle said in his latest special where he's like, what if they're all in on it? Like talking about all the people. Like just what if they're all in it? They still doing this shit. They still doing this shit today.
I mean, it's still, yeah, man, it's still happening. And you see this and you see Ma Rainey at certain points. And I remember Rachel kept saying, when Ma Rainey is like, she makes a big scene about not wanting to start without the coke, you know? And Rachel goes, yeah, if that was white, that coke would have been there. Why was the craft team not there?
There would have been a cooler of cokes. There would have just been a big tub.
There would have been too many cokes.
Yes. Yeah, there would have been so many cokes.
There would have been. She would have opened it and been like, no one can drink this many cokes.
Exactly. And
why'd you get this many?
And she makes it known. I want this every time I'm here.
She had to buy her own coke.
Had to buy her own coke.
He said he forgot the coke. She came an hour late. What? He couldn't remember when he was sitting around doing nothing, waiting for her?
And also, most artists come late. It's like most music, like working at MTV and stuff, most artists come late.
I loved when she was like, they keep sitting around here talking about, I made them so much money. They keep talking about how much money this recording is costing them. He's like, yeah, I feel like it can't cost them that much. Of course it doesn't cost them that much. I was like, yo, this is so real. But here's the thing. I'm not even kidding. I was sitting there as an audience member going, oh yeah, I guess it's costing them to throw out those records, you know? They had to keep redoing one. I was like, yeah, I don't know. It's adding up these costs. And then when she said that, I was like, oh my God, they got me. This ain't cost nothing but 15 cents a record. Like they about to make so much money and they're in here counting pennies. Get out of here. Like
everything they spend on her and them is so minuscule with the amount of money, one, that she was paid for those records and how much the money they're going to make. Them paying off the cop is nothing. You know what I mean? Like it.
Oh my God.
There is so much talk right now in music, particularly about who owns the masters to a lot of these Black artists. And a lot of the time it's not the Black people. Trying to make sure I don't get canceled. But I think this movie touches on that in an important way where it's like, Ma is doing these things and it looks like she's being difficult, but it's like she is fighting literally for the little minuscule respect points. It's like, I want the coke, and then it's like, fuck y'all, I got the money, I do it myself. I don't want your money, get out of my face. Go sit down. You know, wait as I do this. I know this little nigga stutter. He gonna get it. Literally, she says he don't stutter all the time. You know what I'm saying? He gonna get it right. And technically it only took 7 times. And then they fucked up. So it's not even on my little man. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's something about, man, it's something about ownership of Blackness that this movie touches on. And it's something I think because we're in this business of creating art that I keep thinking about more so like trying to get our art back from people, trying to get our voices back from people. And it's like, the controlling of our own Blackness feels very important because the Black art and Black culture is so important to the world, where it's like, whether it's style. I think about it now, talk about these shoes again. Black people are the ones who made sneakers cool. How many Black resale sneaker shops exist? Most of them ain't owned by Black people. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these hip hop labels, yeah, they may have a Black person as a front person who's a subsidiary of another label, but a Black person ain't own that label. You know what I mean? These labels, these people who have saved music, the people who still own that art aren't Black, even though it's the Black art that is saving the business. Like the people who want to partner and make features with Black artists because they know Blackness sells. It's like, I think about half the time, I think about some of these like Instagram celebrities who will augment their bodies to look like Black women, but that we don't support Black women when it comes to these art houses. Like, I don't see Black women with box braids on magazines, but I will see a white girl with box braids like they fucking invented box braids. Or Tim's. I saw literally, there was, now I'm on a tangent, please cut me off. There was literally,
there was
literally white models rocking like butters. And they were like, oh, snap, such is making Tim's cool. And I was like, have you lost your motherfucking mind? You know what I mean? It's like literally like I just see.
No, but they're making
people...
Tim's cool now. You know what I mean? Like at that moment, you know, like at that moment of seeing them wear, like now it's like now Tim's are cool now.
They weren't cool before, man.
All I do is
now
see,
they're cool.
Aside from black men, all I see is
the
black
only
women
Tim that was cool before
of.
was Tim Allen.
Something. So don't do the bark. Something in what you just said, Jerah, made me think about how strong it is to in this play to have these two figures, Ma Rainey, who is like this really big personality, who is fighting for scraps because she's fighting to be treated with respect. The respect that she deserves, but also just common decency of being taken care of in the way that she asks, right? But because her star is fading, you know, she's not gonna be looked at as a person of color to be respected. And then Levy, who like isn't even at a place for the common people to be like, oh, you're somebody for me to look up to, right? Who's just as big as Ma, and he because he hasn't reached a certain level, you know, is teaming at the seams to be big as well, and they both keep butting heads, but neither one of them, you know, have even just the common respect that they deserve, you know, for the talents that they have. I think that's freaking. It's a beautiful thing in the play, the way that it's woven together.
Yeah. This the God speech, you know, that was.
What do you think about
rough,
that, Brian?
man?
What do you think about that?
I was listening to it and I was like, yeah, this is, you know. It's funny because I think like you forget, like that's one of the first things they call it the problem of suffering, which is well, if God exists, why is there suffering? You know, and any religion, you know, any culture, everyone has to deal with that. Like why is there suffering in the world? Especially if there's a God, you know, and other cultures, especially more ancient like religions, saw gods as like more wrathful. Like even the God of Christianity in the Bible, you know, the Old Testament, the Jewish Bible, is like seems a lot more vengeful. So there's like, you know, a lot of suffering and natural disasters or things like that. They're always linked to like the deity, God being angry or the gods being angry, you know? And it's the only way for people to make sense of it because, you know, like what he said, he was like, my mom believed, you know, like my mom believed in God. I heard her as like all these men were surrounding her. She's praying out, Lord, have mercy on me and help me. And God did not help her. And how many people have prayed that same prayer who were faithful, who were, you know, good people, like, and it didn't help. And something horrible happened to them, or they died, or their loved ones died, or their children died, things like that. And like, it was like it was just like this speech that like, Cutler couldn't say anything to in the moment, you know, and it's so filled with that like anger and bitterness. And I don't, it's for me, I don't fully have an answer to it. For me, my whole thing has been like, even though I believe in God, I don't believe that God, or there's it's just free will, I guess. It's like the belief that if you believe in free will, then God isn't controlling everyone doing everything. He's not actually
And
you know
there's
what I mean?
not going
Like,
to be a force field that's going to come down around you because you're praying for God's grace.
And other people's horrible actions are going to affect those people. And that's why people believe in an afterlife too, which is another thing that's hard because, like, you know, that's what he kept saying. He was like, well, you'll burn in hell. But for so many people, it's like, well, I don't have time to think about an afterlife because I'm here now. Like, I'm suffering now. I'm going through this now. Like, and these race of people are going through it now. And I think it's like, it's funny because I think in certain arenas, Jewish people and Black people are like pitted against each other as like, in terms of like the suffrage Olympics, like who had it worse or things like that. But I do think that like the reason that for a good amount of Black people, especially in America, the story of Pharaoh and Egypt, like God leading, you know, the Israelites out of Egypt and saving them from Pharaoh, like it resonated with them because they were in bondage, you know, they were in slavery, they were in captivity. They had generations of people that were suffering, and they were crying out to God. And then God finally, you know, heard their cries and delivered unto them a savior who helped, you know, rescue them. And I think that's Black Americans saw themselves, you know, in that story. But it's so tough because in that same story, you go, okay, that's nice for the people who were finally rescued, but what about all the people that came before them? You know? Like, what about all those generations of families that lived their entire lives in bondage, that lived their entire lives in suffering? What about the people who were, you know, wandering in the desert, you know, for 40 years? You know, it's just like, there's a lot of, yeah, it's good for them, but what about me? You know, what about now? So I don't know. I mean, I liked how it was presented, like, because it's presented from a person who's clearly imperfect, right? It's because somebody who's like has a lot of anger and you know, he has a certain level of arrogance to him, and then obviously we see at the end he like is capable of like great harm himself. But you also totally understand where he's coming from, and you can relate on that human level of like, yeah, why is this happening? You know, like this year is like, and this, I mean, like, you know, I think for us, like we've been relatively lucky in terms of like how bad I think it has been for other people. But I just think about like how hard this year has been for everyone, and for some people really hard. And you go, yeah, like what is it for? You know, that question always comes up. Like, what's the meaning of this? What is this for? Why isn't God doing something about this? And I get it.
Yeah, man. The thing is, Levy, if Levy would have made it until 2020, he would have got superpowers. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. If he'd have just waited, you know, for the Negro equinox, then like he would have got his superpowers, and he would have had to worry about none of these folks.
I do think that Levy, if you take Levy and you put him in a different time, things do go better for him, though. I really do think that is true.
Could you imagine being an educated, opinionated Black person at a time of the Jim Crow South, or just even the height of the Civil Rights Movement? It is so fearful because even now, for instance, I think I've experienced certain, you know, things with cops, and like, you know, for instance, even if me and Rachel are somewhere and like she will see something happening, right, or someone says something to me, and like she is up in arms with like the rights, the rules, the laws, and I'm like, what you're saying is right, but you do have to understand we're dealing with a person that the more you talk about laws, the more you seem uppity, the more you seem like educated, the worse it's going to be for me. You know what I mean? Now think about like people at that time who knew their rights, people who were fighting the good fight. I think about like civil rights leaders like Medgar Evers, who, you know, lost his life at his house, you know, with kids watching. It's like these people did nothing but try to be educated, to try to be as smart and as helpful as they could be to other Black people. And that just was thrown to the wayside by white folk. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just plainly what it was. And I'm thinking about it in this movie, and like there was points where Ma Rainey was so bold in that I'm like, I can't imagine a black person having this much heart in 1927. You know, when she's yelling back at the cops and almost like bucks at him, I'm like, this seems insane. You know?
She exists in this reality where, you know, she has worth, and just because you are white and a cop, that does not mean I can't talk shit to you, you know? Like, I should be able to. If I didn't do anything wrong, I didn't do anything wrong, you know? Like,
right.
But see, that's so scary because it's like it takes that exceptionalness. Like, yes, she was that important, but her nephew wasn't. Like, he's the one who got in the accident. And it's like, if she wasn't there, what would happen to him? Like, no one knows that he is the nephew of Ma Rainey. You know what I mean? All they know is this is a young black kid. You know, technically that cop didn't know who Ma Rainey was. It was like the record producer did. So it's like, no matter how great you are, unless your blackness is so overwhelmingly important, like, you are still just black. And that blackness is the thing that can cause you harm.
Right.
Yeah, man, that sucks.
I just want to talk about the door and Levy trying to open this door.
Was that in the play? Was that in the play, James?
Here's the thing. I don't remember it, but
it feels
makes
like something
sense.
That would be in a play.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like I think I talked about this on the Fences episode, but like, it's one of those things that, you know, it's a device that's happening to sort of represent this larger metaphor. But seeing it's way more powerful than just reading it on the page. Like, seeing him build the fences and seeing everyone leave him and seeing him being stuck behind fences that he's built up. You're like, oh, this man has built up all these walls, etc. Right? Like, seeing seeing Levy,
like, this room changed. This door wasn't always here. They're like, what are you talking about?
What are you doing? What are you talking about?
He's like, that door was always there. And he's like, nope.
And he's trying
Why
to break
do you care
through
so much? He keeps going back. He keeps trying to break down this door. And then when he finally does, it's just a smaller
enclosure.
It's just a smaller alley that's surrounded by wall. It's not even an alley. It's a weird chimney type thing.
Yeah, like what like, yeah.
But it's I loved seeing it like this in this way.
What does that mean to you?
To me, it's like, you know, he's this exactly all of these things that we've sort of already been talking about with Levy, of like, he has all these ambitions, you know, and all he needs to do is break down the door, right? Break through, right?
So
but then when he finally breaks through, there's an insurmountable brick wall around him that he still can't get out of, you know? So he's still trapped no matter how many steps he goes, you know, no matter how many doors he breaks down. I loved it. He, you know, like, just seeing him from that angle of like just this swooping wide thing that he couldn't climb out, he couldn't, you know, or whatever.
That's so
and
sad,
and
man.
that I think it's this thing that I've been saying too about like how I think Levy would always be saying, I'm going to get my band together. Not, even though he in theory could, the ambition is there and the talent is there, right? But like the whole time he's saying, I know how to smile in a white man's face and then get him back. But then, you know, or he also always says like, I'm above this. I don't care about Ma Rainey. I don't need this. But then when he's fired and when the Mr. Sturdivant is like, I'm not gonna make your music, he does not have another thing. He turns against black people. You know what I mean? Like, it's like which again is also, you know, a larger thing about, you know, black people, and, you know, it's not so much just Levy, but you know, no matter how many doors he breaks down, because of the way the system is, he's not going to be able to break through. He can't break through. I loved it.
I took it as like he was both right and wrong at the same time. Like, it felt like he was right. Like, that door wasn't always there. Like, it went into somewhere that, like, it looked like they built a new thing. You know what I mean? And he was stuck. And yet, like, it was also like he was wrong, because it was like, even though he thought the door, he was like, oh, this door wasn't here, or I don't know where he thought it led to, but it was like, the guy was like, dude, you're stuck. Like, you can't get out. And he was right. Like, he couldn't get out, you know, like Levy was wrong. Like, Levy thought he could get out, and he couldn't. But you're right, because there is this other thing of, like, if he truly had the confidence that he kept claiming he had, like, if he truly had the skill and all that, like, wouldn't he just, if he truly had the ability to do what he thought he could do, wouldn't he just do it?
So
why would he always?
He
I agree that I don't think he can either, but he kept talking about it, and they were kind of, and they were discouraging him, and not that that was right, but they were also like, I think there was a part of them that was like, would you just shut up and then do it then? Like, you keep talking about this, like, you keep telling us you're better than us, then go be better than us. Like, there's something from the older generation that was like, you think we haven't tried what you're trying to do? You can't do it. Like, and they almost like were wishing him to fail, you know, so that he could be put, not just put in his place, but so that they could feel good that they had never achieved the things that he claimed that he could achieve. You know what I mean? There is something, I don't know if that's fully in there, but there is something there that I felt too, of like, you know, the bitterness that creeps in when you get older and you haven't done the things that you felt like you could do. And so then when you turn around and you see a younger generation claiming they can do it, you're like, oh, you think you can do this thing? Like, try it. You're going to fail. You're going to fall hard on your face. Life is going to humble you. You'll see why we didn't do the thing that you say you can do.
Before his long speech about what happened to his mom, when he's talking about how, I think it's actually even way before that, but he's talking about how, like, yo, you don't got to talk to me about the white man. I've been dealing with the white man. I've been dealing with the white man for 34 years. I've been dealing with the white. And then when he says 34, all of the other guys look at each other and go, oh, like 34 years. Like, we've been dealing with white people for a lot longer than you know. That I thought that was great.
I thought like he was trying, again, I think he was trying to do the things that he knew. Like, as far as he knew, he was coming in today. They were recording the Levy version of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which was the better version. You know, the older blacks shut that down. At the end of the day, he was like, oh, don't worry. Like, they keep asking for me. We're going to record my songs like they promised me. And I am doing the thing. Like, I wrote the music. I'm writing the music right now. I don't need to rehearse. And I'm going to record my songs so they know they like me. It sucks because, you know, he takes everything out on Cilio, and he takes it out on the kindest one. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, you take it out on the kindest one, and it is something, again, to that. It's something
who had a lot of bad luck and thought he was a fool.
Yeah, I mean, his conversation about, you know, the woman he loved was ready to give up everything for. And he says a line of, when she went to the church and discovered those things, I thought maybe it was my fault that I wasn't enough, that she had to go there, you know? And so, like, at every point, this guy thinks everything about him is bad. You know, he's trying his best. You know what I mean? And it just shows you how different lots people have in life. It's like Levy got it at 8. You know, 8 fucked up shit happened. Like, for Cilio went through life, thought he had the woman of his dreams, and then she was like, no, you're a heathen. And the thing is, out of everybody, he seemed like the less heathenistic out of all of them. You know what I mean?
But now, right? Like, certainly now he's not. After losing the love of his life to that idea, you know, certainly not a heathen now.
But even that, I think that is how I feel like his wife probably treated him after she went to the church, is how I feel like people treated me, which is why I have such a adverse reaction sometimes, where I feel like church people are looking down on certain folks, like even some of my family members, and I'm like, this shit don't sit right with me. All right. And I'm looking at this man, and I'm like, this completely changed who this man was, right? Completely affected him, completely took a lot of hope away from him. And then that hope we saw get taken away from another black guy. And instead of like kind of ushering and comforting the other black kid of like, yo, I know, I see what you're going through. I get what's happening. This is the way it is. He didn't. And then maybe, just maybe that would have gave Levy a little bit of comfort or a little bit of some type of solace so he didn't just lash out like he does at the end. Right. And then he's asking for help from Cutler.
Stepped on my shoes. You saw him step on my shoes as if that was justification.
Yep.
That's all he had. That's all he had was those fucking pair of shoes, man. His song, literally, he didn't even agree to sell the songs for $5. That white dude just put $5 in his pocket and then was like, yeah, the songs aren't the right songs, but if you write more, I'm going to take those too for the same price. You know what I mean? It's like, the level of disrespect.
The other thing that in that moment I went, see, he's not Ma Rainey though, because Ma is smart enough to know,
don't get him songs away.
Give me back my songs. Take your $5. I'm gonna make this with someone else. Like that's what I was saying. Like,
yeah,
like there was like a sense of there was a false confidence, and it wasn't because he didn't have the talent, because I think he did, and I think he had a belief in himself, but he needed somebody else to give him encouragement. Mm-hmm. And they actually made this point earlier on about how, because he was like, this will play in Harlem and that, but this and that, and like and Mr. Stedeman or whatever his name was, he said this is what people need, and he was like, Ma doesn't care about what white people like. She made her money off of black people. Like black people love her music, and I don't know if this was connected, but I realized like, oh, Levy needed a black person to go, you're great. He did. He needed his community to tell him, you're great. You can do this. Like, we believe in you. But none of them and again, it was, I don't think they were doing it maliciously, and I get where they were coming from, because there was this young dude with all this fervor and like making fun of them, and so they were kind of being defensive and all that stuff. But they never said like, no, you really are great. You could make your own band. You know what I mean? You're in Ma Rainey's band now, but keep doing what you're doing so you can do. If he was able to actually believe in himself and have other people believe in it. The other thing is, I'm going to take back believe in himself, because I think everyone, I actually said this I feel like I said this when I did the Need to Fail, like Don Finelli's podcast, of like, people talk about like, you have confidence in yourself, right? Some people have more confidence in themselves than others, but no matter what, at a certain point, if you aren't getting encouragement from anybody else, you're not going to have confidence in yourself. Everybody's self-confidence is bolstered by other people, validating them at some point in time. Sometimes you don't need that much, but you need something, especially in the industry that we're in, especially in the arts, entertainment, music, acting, any of that stuff. Like, you need people to go, I like what you're doing. This is good. Like you have talent, you have skill, like you're smart, you can, you need people to encourage you. And that's the thing. Like, and I think that's one of the things that's, people don't talk about enough in terms of like how much of an effect racism had. It's like, if you are constantly told that just because of the color of your skin, you are not as smart, you're not as talented, you're not as this, you're not as that, like, you will start believing that even if you don't believe it. You know what I mean? Like, even if your soul doesn't believe it, the amount of like people, the amount of media, the amount of like society weighing down on you, and then your peers, like the other people in the Black community saying the same thing, you're going to believe it, like, how can you not? Yeah. So it's kind of, it's tragic. It's tragic what happens to him. It's tragic what was happening to Ma even before this, and we know that she's about to go on the decline. it's tragic. Toledo loses his life because of all of this. Like, all of these guys, it's just like you could see. It's so sad.
Toledo.
But, them ending with the white people singing his song, doing Levy's song was.
Come on,
I was
baby.
just like, oh man, what a dagger to the heart. I was like,
and it was so dry.
It was so dry. The dude who's playing the trumpet, he wasn't that good. Like you could like just them slapping the. I was just like, oh
man,
and this is so
Perfection.
real.
It is. Watching this again, ownership of Black art or Blackness, I think, is super important. And I know one of the big stories this year was when Michaela Cole got to keep. Well, she told the story about how she turned down $1 million from Netflix because she wanted to own I May Destroy You. And again, she wasn't super rich. Yeah, she had did chewing gum. It was modest success. But like to hear this Black woman say, yeah, I got offered all this money. It was like, nah, I'm going to take this lesser money because I get to own my shit, my story, my art, who I am. And it's one of those things where like now I think, I don't know. To me, it seems the utmost importance to me because I feel like this year alone, a lot of people didn't know about Juneteenth. A lot of people didn't know, like literally until the podcast 1619 came out, a lot about like when slaves actually touched down here in America. And I think there is a very huge part of whitewashing of Blackness. Like it just is. Like our history has been whitewashed. And I think there has to be something that needs to be done for our own ownership. And the thing that's very tricky is I know like we're now getting in these positions where we can create art. But again, we have like one Black person at this network, one Black person at this studio who is now in charge of everything. And that's so much pressure for these people to have. But I think the more we control our art and our stories and we can craft it how we want it, it is something about owning your own livelihood. And it is something I think this movie really talks about. I think Ma Rainey discusses it when Ma Rainey would not have gotten her money if she had not signed that contract. And she said, oh, when you realize I didn't sign the distribution, that's when you give me my money.
That's when you realize there was a mistake.
Yeah, like that is what it took. It's like we constantly gotta be trying to outsmart motherfuckers because people trying to jip us. And it's just like, man, I don't even have shit to say to Hollywood. I just want to talk to us. It's like, man, I don't know how we do it, but someone please let me know. How do we own our own story? Because that shit is so tough. I think about some of the stories that's getting made now, and I was, my girlfriend's brother just rewatched Lovecraft Country, and I'm like, yo, the show is really good. But also I'm like, man, this show has so much brutality against Black bodies that I'm like, God damn, at the moment, I'm tired of seeing damage to Black people. I'm just really tired of seeing Black suffrage to racism put on by us by white people. Like that is so tough. I see it in the news every day. I hear a story about hopefully an exonerated Black person who was lied on for doing something to a white person that they didn't do. And they spent 19 to 30 years in jail. And hopefully they get some money out of this shit. And it's like, what is it? 70% of Black people who are exonerated for sexual assault are Black men for something they did to white women that never existed. It's like, this fact sucks. Like, it is a trash ass fact. So I don't know how we start owning our own livelihood. Please, let's start a Twitter thread. That's what I'm all about for 2021. Y'all let me know what's Gucci. But that's what I took away from this movie, man. That's what Ma Rainey told me. Is like, we gotta protect ourselves, our culture, our kids, or our grandkids, or your future kids, or your future kids, or that kid that tried to sell you candy on the subway train. You know that candy ain't worth $2, but you know what? You gave him $2 anyway because you wanted to support the Little League basketball. You know what I'm saying?
$2.
Yeah, man. Somebody tried to get
me. I'd be paying $1 when it be $1. I'd be doing that sometimes.
What? You had $1? I always paid $2.
Yeah, it'd be $1 sometimes.
Damn, it be your own people.
I think it's $2 now. I think.
Oh, it's $2 now.
Thank you. James out here ripping the kids off.
Hey, if I give you $1, will you still give me a reason?
They're like, damn, dude, only because I stole. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
Pray lock. Okay, well, look, I don't do bits anymore at all. But
all right, bet.
This is just a plea to theater if it ever comes back. your boy is of age to do an August Wilson play.
Wait, are you just pitching yourself to do
just
theater
letting
right
people
now?
know that your boy
Let me
is
tell you
of
something,
age.
Jerah. I can guarantee that this is not a bit.
This doesn't feel like a bit at all.
Yeah, this is definitely not a bit.
I don't do bits anymore, so I just wanted to.
James, I believe you. This is definitely not a bit.
I feel like this is James really.
This is very earnest.
He's of age, okay, and he can. You've heard my August Wilson voice. I did it earlier on the pod. Okay.
Wait, you mean that pimp voice? That's a voice you want to do?
Cast me in an August Wilson play, okay?
Oh, this is.
Wow. Are you in the 70s? You in the 70s, you're selling drugs. That's what's happening? You're selling drugs in the 70s. Got it. Freylock in this.
We rate and review movies, not based on how much we like it, but whether or not it helped the cause of more leading black actors in Hollywood. And we feel like it fully helped the cause, we give it a black fist. Someone helped the cause, it gives it a white palm. And if we didn't help the cause at all, we don't give it anything. Okay. You guys ready? Count of 3.
Yep.
And a 1 and a 2, and you know what to do.
Yeah.
3 black fists.
I like that. You know what to do.
And you know
Adopt
what
that.
to do.
Do that for the rest of the time.
I like that. That feels good. I like that. And you know.
That is.
Listen, I'm going to go real quick. I gave it a black fist because of every single black person and person of color involved in this movie. Ma Rainey is a classic play. I am so happy that it is being seen by the masses now. And I've been such a big fan of many of these actors for a long time. So it's really great to see them working together in this way. And I love August Wilson's language, is because the way everyone speaks and everything. I love that so much. And I love his storytelling, and I thought that they did a fantastic job of doing it. So I'm just, I hope little black kids and other little people of color see this and go, I want to do that too. That's it.
I like that. I mean, I'll go next. Everything James just said. Damn. Yeah, everything James just said. He just said it so well. Damn, James, you ruined it. You said it so perfectly. I don't know what to say after that. Damn, I'm stupefied. I'm stupefied.
Yeah, I gave it a black fist because you got so many incredible actors in this film doing their thing. This is definitely getting Oscar plays in the least effectual Oscars ever.
Yeah.
But that's okay, though, because it still counts for something. And no, this was great. And it's number 1 on Netflix. I love it. People getting their start. This is, incredible actors getting even more prominent roles. I love getting to see these these black character actors who've been in a lot of things but aren't really famous or whatever get to do these kinds of prestigious roles. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. It just feels really nice. Anywho, and Viola Davis crushed it. She definitely.
Oh my goodness! Are you kidding me?
I
just realized I've seen all but one of the Century Cycle. I've seen 9.
Wow.
The Century Cycle. That's what this play is from. He did a play that takes place in every decade of the last 100 years.
Oh, interesting. So if you thank you guys for listening. If you rate and review us on iTunes, give us 5 stars. We'll read your review on the air. I don't know if it's just because I don't know what's happening. I don't see any new reviews.
Wow. So it's like that. So it's like that. So it's like that, though.
That's that. Yeah, I see how it is. Not feeling that. But you can follow us. You can follow us at Black Man Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. BlackmanPodcast.com is our website. Check out our merch. We got T-shirts. Hey, there's a holiday sale. I mean, okay, actually, no, wait a minute. It's over now, but that's okay. Christmas has passed, but still, hey, sometimes I forget my Christmas gift and I give it to people as like a New Year's gift. Sometimes you give it to people, you're like, hey, this is 2 weeks late, but I was thinking about you. And they're like, okay. And you're like, it was not my fault. You know how bad, the United States Postal Service is right now. So it's their fault. Just blame it on.
No, I just don't tell them I got him a gift at all.
It's mine now.
Okay. I hope you don't tell people that. That's horrible. Yeah. I wasn't even thinking about you. Anyway, also we have a defunct Patreon. Hey, why not? Check it out if you haven't. Throw us $5 a month until you listen to all the episodes. Get off it. That's okay.
That's it?
You can follow me at John Braylock.
You can follow me at James Third Comedy. JamesThirdComedy.com. Third is 3RD.
You can follow me at Jerah Milligan on Twitter and Instagram.
Forever Dog.
This has been a Forever Dog production, produced by Melisa D. Monts, executive produced by Brett Boham, Joe Cilio, and Alex Ramsey. To listen to this podcast ad-free, sign up for Forever Dog Plus at foreverdogpodcast.com/plus. Check out video clips of our podcast on YouTube at youtube.com/foreverdogteam. And make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Forever Dog Team to keep up with all the latest Forever Dog news.